We've had free speech for a very, very long time here.
Is the UK officially a police state? And how does a police state deal with a figure that some regard as the ultimate authoritarian and others as a symbol of living freedom? Let's have a look. Labour Party support for VPN restrictions after Online Safety Act failed. The government in the UK are thinking of banning VPNs. Let me know what you think about that. Let's have a look at some of the other countries that have banned VPNs over the years. North Korea, Belarus, Turkmenistan, Iran, and Iraq. This is Rob Moore on the UK. Britain is now a police state and no one's talking about it. The online safety bill is anything but safe. It's a Trojan horse for mass surveillance. Here's how the UK spies on you right now. Every phone call, text and email can be stored under the Investigatory Powers Act. Your browsing history is saved for at least a year, even if you've done nothing wrong. Your location is constantly tracked by your mobile provider, your mobile phone provider, cell phone in your language. Face recognition cameras are everywhere without your consent. Smart TVs and devices are listening. Your social media posts are scraped, analysed and fed to algorithms. Banks are now being asked to flag unusual transactions. Even buying gold or crypto apps like WhatsApp could be forced to break encryption for your protection. The government demand access to your private messages without telling you. How extraordinary. It's the perfect time for Donald Trump to be visiting the UK, and it's been an extraordinary, and for the leader of the UK, embarrassing visit. Here are some of the highlights of his recent press conference with Keir Starmer, where Trump, in customary fashion, is able to demonstrate pretty primitive power dynamic moves that are kind of enjoyable. The BBC, of course, the propaganda state-funded, tax-funded media unit within the UK, extracted all of the embarrassing moments that came up during the press conference between Trump and Starmer, and therefore I guess it was pretty short. Just watch the BBC, says Lee Harris on X. They left out everything that embarrassed Starmer, and my word, there was a lot. Some people have noticed that even though Trump is visiting the UK, it somehow seemed like Trump was welcoming Starmer. How can that happen? Would that have happened under Churchill? I very much doubt it. He's got bagpipes, he's got himself a house. Here are some of my favourite moments from the conversation. He talked about Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor of London, who previously, a few years ago, when Trump was making a visit, I think it was during his 2016 presidency term, the term in which he was elected in 2016, and I feel like Sadiq Khan participated in protests in which a giant inflatable Trump baby was floated above London as part of a kind of present ridicule device for his visit. Now, though, crowds have turned up in London to welcome Trump. Let's have a look at this moment where Trump interrupts Keir Starmer in a forthright manner.
You mentioned Canada. I think you're trying to find a divide between us that doesn't exist. We're the closest of nations, and we had very good discussions today, but we didn't discuss Canada.
Thank you. Please. Go ahead. Go ahead, yes.
Well, that's amazing. He doesn't like him. He sort of personally doesn't like him. That was very simian, wasn't it? That interjection, that was like apes quarrelling over a piece of fruit. Let's have a look at this moment here where Keir Starmer tries to interject with the claim that Britain is a forebear and bastion of free speech.
It's a free speech today.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud of that.
Nothing to worry about when it comes to the old free speech. I've been free speaking all morning. I've free speaked my way here. I've been free speaking at the podium. I love a little free speech chin wag.
Trump interjects on the subject of online censorship with particular regard to his own site, Truth Social.
President, you have a successful social media site. There are new powers here to censor your site, state-mandated powers.
To censor my site?
To censor your site and Twitter
Truth?
and Facebook.
Truth?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. one. We've got some measures which are there to protect children.
We've got measures, they're there to protect children. You've got to protect them. Kids are going on Truth Social day and night, being confronted with pictures of winky woos, bottoms, titty boobs. I think I saw a dick bird there last Wednesday. We've got to protect these poor children. And in order to protect children, you've got to flood the place with undocumented migrants. You've got to arrest everyone. You've got to allow water companies to pollute the very water that they're charged with regulating and providing to the British public. All these things are required to protect children. Also, an injunction that I've placed on the British media, that's to protect children as well. And it's got nothing, and I can't say this clearly enough, nothing to do with Ukrainian models that firebomb my house. Why do people keep talking about those Ukrainian models that firebomb my house? I'll firebomb you! Do you want a tough guy? I'll firebomb you up the Jack Jones, I will! I'll firebomb you up your pipsqueaks! You'll get what's coming to you, Trumpkin!
In particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. There's nothing about censoring free speech.
But that treats all adults like children.
This country is proud.
But that can treat all adults like children.
Free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever.
We've got so much free speech. How many times do I have to tell you we've got free speech?
Why do these people keep getting jailed for saying stuff like I'm concerned about migration?
Because that's not bloody well very free at all, is it?
Like, you are free to say anything that falls within the parameters and paradigm of their preferences. If you start talking outside of that, if you start communicating ideas that are detrimental to the hegemony of these systems of power in the UK, you will learn fast that your speech ain't free, and they'll do whatever it takes to prohibit, inhibit and delete your ability to openly communicate. I know this from some personal experience.
But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is, from things like suicide sites.
I want to protect the old young teenagers. I see myself a young teenager just earlier. I thought I'd better protect it. Here it go. Look, it might fall in the ditch. Oh no. Oh good Christ, it's going to kill itself, that poor little young teenager.
Who among us, after living through COVID or the phony wars or the constant taxation or the manipulative and mind-dulling media, believes that these people have anything other than their own concerns front and centre, like a ridiculous erection that they ludicrously worship? They don't care about you. You know that. How can we keep entering into their ludicrous illusions? We can't, can we?
I don't see that as a free speech issue. I see that as a child protection
We
issue.
actually passed a bill in Congress, headed up by my wife, actually, which was to pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a problem. But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. That's more of a very political, and it's been a very big success.
It's not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so if they censor me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
Imagine his little sweaty bottom as he just sits in that armchair, squirming and sweating, fretting and panicking, knowing that the truth is coming for him. They're poisoning us with fluoride. That used to be a conspiracy theory. The very thing that was keeping your teeth nice and clean was caking around your pineal gland and turning you into an octogenarian. They were making Bidens of all of us. I can smell a child's head somewhere. Well, the answer, it turns out, was peptides. And the wellness company just launched the first ever peptide paste that regenerates your gum tissue, strengthens enamel, and naturally whitens your teeth. It's called Smile, a doctor-formulated breakthrough that works with your body's natural repair process. This advanced formula blends together targeted peptides with blue spirulina, aloe vera, and powerful remineralizers to boost blood flow, stimulate collagen, and help rebuild lost gum tissue, while all the while gently whitening without sensitivity. No fluoride, no peroxide, no artificial dyes, just real clean ingredients that fight bad bacteria and support a healthier mouth from the inside out. Ready to upgrade your oral health? Experience the future of oral care with Smile and get 10% off plus free shipping. Head to twc.health/brand and use the code BRAND. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. Ding! Look at these peptide smothered little gnashers. Beautiful bastards. And I'm English. Remember George Washington with them wooden gnashers? What wouldn't he have given for a peptide? And a fluoride-free pineal gland, so he knew his way across the Delaware River.
What's your advice on dealing with the small boats crisis in this country? The small boats
It's about
crisis.
the boats coming over the channel, so we're taking a lot of action to stop people coming over the channel who shouldn't be here.
Taking a lot of action to stop people coming over the channel. Look at the dynamic. Look at how ultimately the true dynamic has asserted itself. Starmer, bureaucrat, middle management figure, apparently rather impressive when he was head of the CPS, although they didn't do a great deal to protect Julian Assange and they didn't do a great deal to prosecute Jimmy Savile, the rampant paedophile and apparent servant of the elites. Extraordinary that took place under Keir Starmer's watch. Here he is returned to his rightful position as a kind of acolyte and underling of someone like Trump, who, whether you like him or not, emanates a kind of chief power.
Stopping them coming in the first place.
Well,
and then
look,
returning
immigration
them when
is
we
a
can.
big factor, and I think, frankly, if they're coming from other countries and you don't know who they are, and are they coming from prisons? We have them where they came in from prisons. We're moving them all out. We had a border last June, just recent, last month. We had 0 people come into the country, 0, other than coming through legal means.
The subject of immigration remains a contentious one because arguments can certainly be made that as one global human family, we have an obligation to care for and love one another. I think it's ridiculous that claim is made, though, by governments that plainly exist in order to control and exploit and perpetuate their own power, which they'll do however they can. What's not contentious is that you need food to live, and in order to have food, you need farmers, unless we, of course, kowtow to Bill Gates, who would have us eating near plastic lab-grown flesh. For now, at least, we need farmers to feed ourselves. And across Europe and across the world, there seems to be an attempt to centralise control over agriculture and to break the spirits of the farming community, in my country I'm talking about, and to destroy their ability to operate through various taxation methods and apparent climate change control initiatives that don't seem to do a great deal to protect or preserve or help the planet, but do a lot to disempower farmers. That subject came up as well during Starmer and Trump's set of public appearances that accompany his visit to the UK. What's fascinating about this is the same way that during the Canadian trucker protests we were invited to assume that truck drivers in Canada had all become mad, giddy, hopeless Nazi racists. In the UK at the moment, we have to engineer internal feelings of hatred against farmers, not to acknowledge that what's happening is part of a globalist decree to control food. It's important, I reckon, that we are able to keep a macro perspective on these geopolitical and global themes like control, centralised bureaucratic control and distraction from the efforts to achieve that control, as well as the sort of more amusing dynamics between Trump and Starmer. Here, the subject of agriculture and the agricultural protests come up. Let's have a look.
We have a lot of unhappy farmers in this country at the moment, and I'm sure the Prime Minister won't thank me for raising this. We've had changes to inheritance tax, which mean a lot of farmers feel they're going to lose their farms when they die or their father dies. How important are farmers to a country?
You mean they're going to lose the farm because of estate taxes?
Correct. So that when they die, they'll have to pay so much. They're cash poor, but they have great properties.
I know. Well, they're cash poor. They're land rich and cash poor. A lot of people are. I've had that too. Sometimes I'm land rich and cash. Sometimes I'm cash rich and land poor. I like it both ways, but as I get older, I like the more conservative route. So I did something that I don't know if you can do, but it was great. I love our farmers. As you know, in our tax bill, we have a clause that's very important. We were losing a lot of farms to the banks because a loving mother and father would die and left their farm to their children or their child, but their children, their family. And they loved their family and they thought they were doing them a favor, but they had a 50% tax to pay. So the land would get valued and at a high number, because some of the farms were valuable, but they didn't, they couldn't quantify it. And they'd go out and borrow money to pay the estate tax or the death tax, as it's called. And they'd overextend and they'd lose the farm. And They commit suicide in many cases.
We're seeing that.
No. Our levels are nowhere near 50%.
They're not 50%, but the dissatisfaction is real.
We've just introduced, where it's paid over many years, works out
that's
about
good.
an extra 2% a year over 10 years. So it's not at those levels by any stretch of the imagination. But the other thing that we've done, as you know, is make sure that we've got a pathway for farmers that actually increases their year-on-year income, which is the most important thing. And in all of the deals that we do, we ensure that our farmers are the central focus for much of it, particularly on agriculture, including in the US deal, because I don't think we can go on for years saying that it's acceptable for farmers to have a year-on-year income which isn't sufficient. We've got to fix that problem. We can't simply live with that problem, so it's a very different situation.
Well, we ended the estate tax. There is no estate tax on farmers.
Maybe you could do the same.
Oh dear, it's so awkward and embarrassing. It's difficult not to feel some compassion for Keir Starmer when you see his ineptitude and inability to deal with the easy intensity of Donald Trump. Keir Starmer, I suppose, the reason that I feel not animosity towards him, but steep cynicism, is because I know that while he was at the CPS, he could have intervened when it came to the various forms of incarceration pertaining to Julian Assange there, who was holed up in an embassy for 5 years and then bail-marched for 5 years without trial, simply because he revealed embarrassing secrets about both the United States government and the UK government. And always, really, it comes down to the machinery behind what we regard as power, a mere edifice with interchangeable figures like Keir Starmer at their forefront. And it's interesting for me to see Keir Starmer exposed to the awkwardness that comes when you're around someone who handles power rather better than he does. Sino Free asks, do you feel like he's a WEF puppet? You're asking that about Keir Starmer, of course. Well, he did say that he preferred Davos, the home of the WEF, to Westminster, the home of the British government. And we're in a really unique and interesting moment in British power and British politics, because we have an unpopular government with no election coming, not for a couple of years unless they call a snap urgent or early one. We have the rise of Nigel Farage and reform. But I think more importantly than that, we have a sense in the UK that neither of these political movements, the left or right, are going to lead to anything other than the further ossification of old establishment power. People want something new, and peculiarly that might mean something arcane, something deep and old, a return to God, a return to Christ. Certainly there's signs of a revival in the UK, people going to Roman Catholic churches and Pentecostal churches and abandoning the false belief that worldliness can fulfill you. In a way, I always felt that Trump was a kind of figure that was born out of the tides of time. He showed us where American culture is. He showed us that the collision of entertainment and politics and commerce was always going to create someone that had chops in all three of those areas, a perfect orator and creature for his time. Similarly, Keir Starmer, this grey and somewhat tepid bureaucratic figure, tells you where British power is and where British politics are. Having crushed Jeremy Corbyn and a left-wing movement that was somewhat populist and certainly authentic, the left doesn't know what it is other than a bureaucratic servant of global imperial power. The right under Boris Johnson fell apart while in office and will likely ultimately end up being claimed by Nigel Farage. I presume Reform and the Conservative Party will align and mesh at some point, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm no expert in this. But whatever outcome we receive through the current conduits of power, it will amount to more of the same unless we're willing to confront the systems and institutions of power themselves. I wonder how you, my beloved friends here in America, feel about the ongoing cynicism from the left and media institutions about Trump, and how that is facilitated further by the failure to release the Epstein files, or the ongoing wars, or what seems to be a kind of inertia in global politics that's very difficult to interrupt. On Trump's visit to the UK, it's pretty clear that what it does is exposes the unpopularity of Keir Starmer, the failure of contemporary bureaucracies when it comes to dealing with the complexity of migration, new media and censorship, and ultimately that the British people need at least an election and potentially a revolution. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat.
Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Rumble.